Hi, Rhonda. Thanks for your patience while I get this to you. Um, so I have a few things for you that I think will really help. I think that just a few small changes are going to make a big difference. Overall, this is a really nice horse. He's wanting to use his hind end. He's wanting to work. Overall, I think you're riding pretty well, but just a couple little things will make a big difference. I like your first barrel. Like I say, right in here, he's really dropping his hip. Your angle looks good. The only thing I would say right here is if sometimes I encourage people to place their inside hand a little closer to the center of your reins on that first barrel, which I don't think you're reaching down too terribly far at all, but just if you can slide your hand over just another inch even right here. You can see if your hand would be over just a little bit more towards the center, then you could use your neck rein just a touch more. Um, the other thing I would encourage at this point is to try to keep that hand just a little bit lower. If I am needing to bring a horse around a barrel a little bit, I will try to think of bringing my inside hand straight back towards my inside hip. And that does a couple things. If your hand's lower, then, that's just going to help your horse's head stay lower. Uh, it's also going to keep your center of balance a little lower if you have your hand a little lower. And it's also going to help you keep your hips kind of rolled under and stay with your horse a little better. So I think all those things are going to help that first barrel just a little bit. And overall, it's not a bad barrel at all, but I think those little things would help there. So then, if you, like I say, can use just a touch more of your other, your right rein to get his head straightened out a little quicker, that's sure going to help right there too. When you're getting to this point, this far away from your first barrel, you're really wanting to have his head turned loose and not still pulled to the left. As you can see, when we pull that rein, they really don't move over very well that way, which I know it's just kind of muscle memory to do that. I do it all the time too, but if you can think about just kind of turning him loose right there and heading to the next barrel as quick as you can. And right as I'm coming out of my first barrel, I am trying to remember to look at my pocket on the second barrel and not the barrel itself, which, I don't see you leaning too badly, through this area, but I know a lot of times I still tend to look at that barrel instead of the pocket. And if you have a horse that you feel like is shutting down on you going into the second, you can even look up at the fence, especially on the smaller arenas like this. I really like to look at the fence on a horse like that because if you can imagine, if your eyes are up looking at the fence, it really keeps your shoulders up and your hips square, everything moving forward. Whereas if you're looking down either at the barrel or down at the pocket, then the closer you get to the barrel, you just kind of, your whole body kind of moves forward and down, I guess, looking at those points. So if I have a ready horse in a small arena like this, I really like to look at the fence and just really drive to that point. Just kind of drive there for all I'm worth. I'm going to send you a video of Ashley Schaefer talking about that. It's an outstanding video, and she can explain it better than I can. So I'll send you that as well, and I think you'll get a lot of good out of it if you haven't seen it already. So the other thing I learned the hard way myself is right at about this point, we think that they are shutting down on us, and we're kind of anticipating that they're gonna shut down and be looking for that barrel because that's what's been happening. But in reality, we actually cause more of that than we realize and then we like to admit. If you can see here, the timing is really close, but right here he's still running, your hands are still relaxing forward, and then right about here. I don't know if you can see it, but your hand and your body shift before his body does. So you can see right here, you're still riding forward. He's still pretty straight and running. Then right here, your left hand starts to pick up, your right hand starts to pick up, and you start to pull. So what happens when we pull like that is our hips have to push down into the saddle in order to stay on, basically. And so our horses feel our hips pushing down into the saddle like that. And especially when you pull to the left, you're gonna start putting more weight on your right hip. It's just kind of the mechanics of how we have to balance. And so regardless of what our hands are doing, our hips are actually telling them to rate and start that turn because we're pushing down into the saddle and we're also dropping that inside hip. So I like to do a lot of visualizing of, like I talked about, just riding straight across the pen and just try to forget that there's even a barrel there. I like to think about what it feels like to breeze a horse. You know, if you're breezing a horse, excuse me, in the pasture or something, you know, you're relaxed, you're pushing with every stride, you're looking way ahead of you, and you're just, you know, it's just fluid and you're just running. So I like to think of that body language when I'm going to the second barrel and just pretend that barrel isn't even there and just run my horse across the pen. And it will get you a couple strides further past this point right in here where he's starting to shut down. If you can just kind of have that image of in your head of just riding across that pen as if there's not even a barrel there and just looking up at the fence and pretending like you're just going to run him into that fence. And so that I really think that just a little shift in body position is going to change all of this because I had to learn that the hard way. I did this exact same thing on a couple horses for, you know, a couple years, thinking that that they were just shouldering and getting ready, when really, once I learned how to just relax and ride all the way across the pen without changing my hands and hips, then they would run right across there. I really think that's gonna fix all of this. So then, you know, the back of the barrel, he's definitely still trying to come around here. Nice little pocket on the back of the barrel right there. That looks great for this horse. On the back of the barrel here, where he's kind of taken off a little bit without you, I have another post that I made some time back about how I teach a horse to really finish a barrel on its own. So I'm going to send that to you. I want to do a voiceover of that video at some point, but it's probably not going to be today. But I do have it all typed up, kind of how I get a horse to really crave in a turn. And I talked about that a little bit in the video yesterday that I posted about just loping circles around the barrel. I talked a little bit about how to get them to crave in that, to crave leaving the barrel. So that would definitely apply as well. Your third barrel, you know, kind of similar things happen on the third barrel, but just not as, you know, not as severe as the second barrel, which is pretty common. You're kind of picking up your outside rein a little bit here and kind of pulling, and this is a good angle too, you know, kind of right here. You're really relaxed and letting him run, and then right about here, you can see when your left hand starts to come back to hold him off the barrel, how your right hip just kind of drops, and your left shoulder drops, and your ribs bend to the inside, which means that's exactly what your horse is going to do too. So, I mean, you can see how your body position matches his here. And it can definitely be a snowball effect. You know, maybe we start doing that a little bit, and then the horse does a little bit, and then we do it a little more. And, you know, it can be horse and rider, but they will come out of this if we stop dropping our hips and shoulders too early. And then on the back, again, he's not too bad at all. You know, you might just be releasing a smidge too late as well, which I know can happen because if they haven't been finishing the barrel, you know, you're trying to really get them pulled around it. Honestly, on this run, if you would have just let him go right here, he would have run out of there just fine, and you would have saved probably even a couple tenths there. Same on the second barrel. On this particular run, if you would have just let him go right there, he would have gone straight towards it. But I totally understand that if he has been kind of stepping off the back of his barrels, that you were just trying to prevent that. But anyways, the exercises where I talk about how to get him to finish that barrel will really help with that anyways. And as far as bringing all this to the competition pen, if I have a horse that I have some stuff like this happening with, I am not against doing some exhibitions on him. And just kind of going back to basics, I will, lope some nice fluid circles like I posted in that video yesterday, and really get them relaxed and moving fluid around those barrels again, and really focus on my body language. For me, I have to do that sometimes just to get my confidence back. After you've fixed things at home, I have to do that a little bit away from home too. I think it's partly for my horse, but it's probably a lot for me too. And just kind of retraining my own body position and getting some confidence back in my horse, and getting some confidence in the things that we've been doing at home. So, like I say, overall, I mean, I'm really picking this apart overall because I really like this horse. He looks like my kind of horse. And I think just a couple little just a couple little changes are actually going to make a pretty big difference for you. And I think you guys can make a lot of improvements in time with just those little things. So I hope this helps. I will send those links to you so you can see the other information that I am referencing. And if you have any questions, just let me know. And thanks so much for thinking of me. I really appreciate it.